this is Adriana from Tasty Pastry Kitchen, and today we're going to go over how to assemble lemon curd tartlets. These 4-inch tartlets are sweet tart crust filled with lemon curd and topped with either meringue or candied lemon slices. You can definitely use store-bought lemon curd, but if you need a good homemade recipe, I have an illustrated step-by-step tutorial on tastypastry.kitchen. I also have a recipe for perfect sweet tart crust. You can adapt this process to whatever tart pan you need. This is a 9-inch tart pan with a removable bottom that is perfect for centerpiece dinner party desserts or if someone requests a tart instead of a birthday cake. There are also 4-inch tartlet pans with intact bottoms, which are great for individually portioned desserts. There are also these tiny hors d'oeuvre-like tartlet tins. Now these are great for parties where lots of food is being served because most people won't cut into a large tart to take a piece, but trust me, they will grab several of these. Today I'm going to make 4-inch tartlets. Now let's roll out our chilled dough. You can definitely sprinkle some flour on your surface and roll it out that way, but I much prefer to line the counters with saran wrap. I find it's just easier to work with and doesn't add any flour to our perfectly portioned dough. Tap your dough or press it with the rolling pin to loosen it a bit so it doesn't crack when you roll it. Replacing the saran wrap every now and then, roll out your dough until it is about 1/4 of an inch thick. I actually prefer my crust to be a little on the thicker side because I like to have a higher crust to filling ratio. This works really well in particular for lemon curd tarts because the filling can be pretty sour and the cookie adds a crispy sweetness to the dessert. When you're satisfied with the thickness, use your tart pan as a guide and cut about 1 inch or so larger in diameter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then lift the saran wrap and let the dough fall into your hand. It's much easier to peel a saran wrap from the dough than to peel the dough from the counter surface. Place the dough inside the tart pan. Kind of let it fall into the pan instead of pushing it down if you can. Don't worry if there are any holes or tears, just patch it up with some extra dough. This dough is incredibly forgiving. You'll still get a really impressive tart crust even if you have to patch everything up or mend pieces together to fill a tart pan. Just keep filling the dough and lining the tart pans. Once you get a few lined, go ahead and use a knife to trim the edges. During this process, I also like to go around the perimeter once more, really gently pushing into the indentations of the pan so they'll come out really pretty when they bake. My perfect sweet crust pastry recipe will give you enough dough to line 7 of these tart pans. But in this video, you'll only see me make 6 because I gave one to my daughter to play with. Or you can make one large 9 or 10-inch tart pan, or you can make about 25 of those little hors d'oeuvre sized tiny tins. When you're ready to use your dough scraps to make more tartlets, just press all the pieces together, roll it out, and repeat the process. Take a fork and poke the bottoms of the tartlets several times. This is also called docking the dough. Make sure you press all the way down to the bottom because you'll need these air holes for hot steam to escape and ensure you get a flat bottom surface when they bake. When you're making tartlets, either this size or smaller, you don't need pie weights if you freeze the dough completely. When you're ready to bake, just place them in the oven when they're frozen. 4-inch tartlets take about 15 minutes at 375 on the middle rack. You'll know the crust is done when it's firm, not leaking any butter, and nice and browned along the edges. When they're nice and cool, they're ready to fill. Remove them from their pans. You can see that the bottoms are nice and brown, and that's exactly what we need for a good crispy crust. Fill your tarts with your lemon curd. I'm topping half of them with candied lemon slices, which you can make by simmering slices of lemon in a small pan with about 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of water for about 20 minutes. These desserts right here, topped with lemon slices, are perfect for people who like really lemony desserts. On the other hand, you can make my favorite version, which is to offset the sour with a bit of meringue. You can spoon it on top or be super fancy and put the meringue in a piping bag. I think meringue is really pretty when it has lots of edges to color and brown, so use a tip that has multiple points. Pipe huge clouds on top of your curd. To toast the meringue, there are a couple methods. Some people like to use a blowtorch, but for some reason whenever I use it, I over-singe my edges more than I would like. I like meringue as cooked in the oven anyways because it creates a crispy shell with a gooey center. Just make sure that if you use the oven to completely cover your lemon curd so that it doesn't bubble in the oven. Cook at 375 for about 10 minutes or until the meringue is a light toasty color. There you have it, delicious lemon curd tartlets. These things are so good. There's a reason why they're one of my most requested tarts. And now that you've seen how it's done, I'm sure you'll have as much fun as I did making them. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and see you next time.